Hey everyone, so here in just a minute, I'm going to bring up my friend Tony Presidio, who works with Ilco and Advanced Diagnostics. And, Tony travels the country and has for well over a decade talking about key programming, nowadays the Smart Pro. And what I'm excited to kind of dive in with him a little bit about is, with all of the different training he's done out there, what are the parts or elements that come with key programming and or the Smart Pro that are kind of forgot about, like the lost little pieces that I think we need to have in our tool belt. So I'm going to go ahead, let's bring them on, and let's have a great conversation. Tony, how are we doing?
Good. Good morning, PJ, and thank you for inviting me to another great podcast. Hopefully it'll be a great podcast. I know you always have a lot of great questions and you have a great following, so excited to be here today.
Absolutely. It's always good to see you, and I'm really excited to, as I was saying in the intro, you've traveled the entire country and put on countless classes, and you've heard a lot of feedback, a lot of questions, right? I mean, you've had questions that are very nice, and you've had some questions that aren't so nice, right? Yeah. And you've been fielding them all.
Seen a lot of it, yeah. It's been a good ride, and but yeah, it's and that's really where a lot of my expertise comes in. I dig down to the basics of where we came from, especially from the advanced diagnostics side, where we're at today and where we're going tomorrow. And that kind of ties into our discussion today of someone like you said in your entry, of some lost features or forgotten features that are out there that will make your job easier. And I think just are not as exposed, or our customer base is not exposed to them as much as we'd like to see them.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and dive in, and let's see if we can't dig up a couple gems that people can, by the time they're done listening or watching today, they'll be able to take with them. So, of course, we're going to be tailoring the conversation mainly around the Advanced Diagnostics Smart Pro, because, well, that's what you do, right? Mm-hmm. And so, if we were to just jump right in, what's the first thing that you think people should have a better knowledge or understanding of, or may not even know?
Going beyond the hybrid solution in a machine like the Smart Pro is the resource that comes with it. I mean, our operating manual was, worth its weight in gold. And so when we think about that, we looked at that. If I dial the clock back, we had a database or a resource of called InfoQuest. And that has now evolved into a bigger resource tool that spans not only advanced diagnostics, but also the Ilco side. That is MyKeys Pro. And this has been an ongoing project of a all-encompassing resource, basically. I'm glad that you wanted to have this discussion today, because we feel that we have still a fair percentage of customers that either do not know about MyKeys Pro and how it can act as a roadmap, and with the use of Smart Pro and either other equipment, like even the Futura and the new cloning RW5, of how this interacts with the equipment and the products that we put to market.
Yeah, so talking about the programming manual, right? So I don't know how many years it was, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when you'd get a MVP Pro, it would come with this big old binder Smart Pro, right?
Yes.
And it was always exciting when updates were to come out with that. They were always very well, I believe Mike Hyde always made those, right? And he did such a great job putting those together. And when I still remember when it was announced that that AD was switching from the manual to the app. I mean, I imagine the amount of conversations you had about that was a lot, right?
A lot, yes.
And
yes.
I mean, it makes sense now, right? Like sometimes at the time when those decisions are made, it's like, what the heck? We've been using this, for many years. It works great. We're used to what it looks like, how to find stuff. But then you fast forward to today, and the world of key programming is evolving rapidly. The information can also change, right? Like a great example of that would be on like the stars, right? The star connector.
Yes.
There's different places, and how many times does it come out like, oh, this is a good placement, you know, on this compass or whatever, but then 6 months later, they found an easier or better way or a preferred method to get to a connector. And
exactly. Yep.
You can't communicate that when it comes to you know, printed material the same way you can in an app that you can just update it on the back end and find it. And so is what I'm hearing you say is with all the different classes and all the stuff you've been doing, there are people that aren't using the MyKeys Pro app.
Correct. Yeah, there's a percentage. I mean, I just did some work in Chicago and worked actually with an association group here this last weekend that I would say a third, if not more, of the class was not aware of it. And most of these were existing customers. And that's become a core, really, where I start every session that I conduct. I start it with MyKeys Pro because to me, it's the roadmap. You need to know what you're in front of or how to do something before you go in and roll your sleeves up on that. And that comes also with experience level. I mean, there are two versions of the app. There's a free version that just scrapes the surface and gives you a bit of information. There's a premium level that goes far into the nooks and crannies and the tips and hints and all of that, videos of the car programming procedure. And I think that's where we'd like to see most. And we do offer a 90-day a 90-day free trial on the premium, which is $120 a year if you had to pay for it over time. And the company has taken the position and believe that if you try it for 90 days, you'll see the value.
In kind of closing off this first point here, there are people that, I think it's a good idea to download the free version of the app if you're even interested in purchasing a Smart Pro, because it's going to kind of let you kind of get under the covers a little bit and see what is going on. But more importantly, so these people, and I'm just really curious about this, the people in the class that are current customers that aren't using the app, are they, when they get a call and like they have a customer on the phone, are they grabbing the Smart Pro and like scrolling through the menu to see if they can do that?
I think a high percentage of them are. I mean, they're using what I would call a fairly archaic way of making sure. I mean, some do it by pure, yes, I just did that car yesterday, or I've done that car enough that I know what to expect. But the app is, and things are changing, as you know. This even a vehicle that we program today could change a bit tomorrow, and that's where the app and being the constant grooming of it, the updates, and the information that goes into it, with the help of those in the field, is really building a very strong resource tool, and one that I don't think can be ignored at really any level. Beginning, and I agree with you, that's why there is a free version. Try the free version. Get a test ride on it. Better yet, try the 90-day free premium and, go right to it. I mean, it just depends. How immersed are you in doing automotive key programming? So, everybody has a different level, a different demand. And so that's what's nice about having the two options or two versions. But yeah, I think that, again, you can't have enough resource at your fingertips, especially when it comes to programming car keys. In the MyKeys Pro app, you can find under the catalog section, you can find from A to Z, it will populate all of the vehicles that the Smart Pro has been developed, or software for the Smart Pro has been developed. And that's well north of 1,700 makes and models that run in Canada and the US. The thing is that I think the more resource and the more information we can get to you quickly and efficiently and accurate, is a really good thing for any of our end users.
It is. It is. And in closing my thought on this after hearing you talk is, right, so it kind of whittles down to what does it actually work on and what does it look like to work on that. A great thing to do is when you're looking at getting a new machine, especially if it's a Smart Pro or you want to compare the Smart Pro to another machine you're using, is to get on the free version of the MyKeys Pro app, and you can actually look up, what if you put in your vehicle, how would you program it? Is it possible? Your friends or a customer who calls it, maybe you're not programming yet, or you have like a really cheap, inexpensive starter machine and you're looking at getting a more elaborate or comprehensive machine. Get in there, look, okay, so this customer, I'm not going to be able to get this call today, but can it do a 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee? Get in there, What does that look like? What is, and kind of really start to get familiar with what it looks like, because if you're going to use the investment or get the greatest ROI on the investment, you need to know what that looks like, ahead of time. And so
oh yes, you're exactly right. We tell them that when you utilize this app and the way that they've constructed it, and the navigation is pretty simple, so it's a powerful tool. In fact, as one of our better distributors, what I think the best, but we've known each other for a while, is your team uses it, and I know they do, and that helps you engage with the customer. So it's kind of a domino effect of the resource spilling down through the ranks or through the network of business that really, it starts to, like a snowball downhill, it starts to gather steam and gather a lot of attention. And that's what we're hoping to do in the months ahead and as this thing continues to grow.
Yeah. And Tony, I think, I'm 100% with you on that. And I think if you're not in the car keys business programming yet, or you're in it, what I'm about to say, I think everybody would about agree with, which is, at some point in the key programming business, you have to start to control what you can, because there are variables, whether it's active alarms or weird battery issues, or someone had been there before, or it's not communicating and there's a fuse popped, whatever it might be. There's so many variables that happen when you go to the job to not get the information and control what you can. Oh my gosh. You have to have a very high tolerance for pain at that point.
Yes, right? Yes. And that's a very good point. And what I like to say to customers is that a lot of our customers are versatile, and they just don't do automotive. They do a number of things. That's to survive in the industry is you have to diversify. And so when you're not with your machine 24/7, the application gives you pretty much, it's a cross network of information that's on the machine, that's on the application. And so you don't have to have your machine turned on 24/7 and be lugging it around. You could be eating lunch, take that call, and quickly decipher whether that's a job that can be tackled or not. And so I think the importance of having the resource at your fingertips and being able to respond to the customer and get the job and know and be confident before even getting to the job site that what it is that is going to be needed or done in the steps of programming. And I think that whether you're 20 years into it or 2 months into it, I think that's an advantage.
Agreed. Okay, perfect. Well, hey, let's move on to what is the next tip?
Well, there's two other areas that I'd quickly touch on because I know we're running short on time. Is that training tool? I know that since COVID, I hear this everywhere. I don't care what part of the country I'm in. Hard to find people, keep them on the job, find people to work. Again, circling back to MyKeys Pro as a resource tool, it's also a great training tool. I mean, resource training kind of go hand in hand, in my view, on that. But two other things that get overlooked dealing with the Smart Pro, and that is, if you are, and we have a high percentage, or a fair percentage, I should say, of those who want to own the software outright. PJ, you deal with them, your staff deals with them every day, those type of customers. And the software kit options have been established, and they've been established for some time now. They've even been some kits in the package or in the offering have been ratcheted up a bit since the onslaught of development. And that's out there. And that's actually, when you do the math on that, that's about a 60% savings. So any even fall promotion or spot promotion, as I would call it, this would override. So don't forget about looking, if you're managing the Smart Pro by ownership of software, make sure that you take a look at that option. It's out there. It's been there. It's 6 kits. It's the attacking the what we call the targeted 6 vehicle lines, actually 7, because Subaru has been combined with Toyota. So it's a total of 7 vehicle lines that these kits on a high-low split are very, very, very reasonable in price. And for every existing piece of software that you already have obtained, there is a rebate, a discount built in that takes that from the kit price. So it becomes a very substantial amount of savings for the customer. And I think that I have been on a campaign and promoting that in our training sessions as a last bit note that, you know, help yourself. Everybody wants to save money. Everybody wants to have enough software or enough ability with their machine. It's a good time to take a look at, especially as we get towards the end of the year. You've had a good year. You want to invest some money. You want to still save some money. But get your machine built up to where you want it. And remember the hybrid solution or platform with the Smart Pro.
Something that's unique about the Smart Pro is that, you know, a lot of people don't like tokens, right? Like we've talked about it before. The concept of the token is not always very well received, right? And so with that being said, like if someone wants to buy software, and because like maybe they do a lot of Fords in their area, they can buy the Ford software that they're always using, and then they can use tokens for the other vehicles that they don't own the software for. So it's not like a one or the other. You can do the hybrid where it's like, listen, we do a lot of Fords in our area. I don't feel like I operate the machine enough I don't want to keep burning tokens on those. I don't really feel like the UTP, a yearly UTP is the right fit for me. So what I can do is I can buy the Ford software and then I can use the tokens for everything else. So it's not like you have to go put out, let's say, $8,000 right now on software. You can build it over time based on how your business needs are.
Yes, well said. I couldn't say that any better. And again, that's pay homage to you on the fact that, you know, very strong distributor for us in understanding that. And I know your sales team understands that too. So, but you're spot on with that, is that, and I preach it every time I can. And when I'm engaged with the customers, keep in mind that you have, I call it 4 gas tanks on a Smart Pro. The gas tanks are software. If you like to own it outright, you buy it, you own it. And within that, there's usually comes some free updates as we tweak and turn and adjust where we can. So you get the benefit of that. The other gas tank would obviously be tokens for those, like you said, in those spot jobs or jobs that come infrequent. There's no better reuse than a token. You know, we used to say, well, you know, nobody likes tokens, but there's still a purpose for them. And that's a very good one when you can, you know, that's what brought about the Smart Pro was a lot of customers said, man, I like to own software, but, you know, I get that Mitsubishi about every 3rd or 4th week. Be nice just to be able to grab a token and do that job. And so that's what really brought us to the drawing board with the Smart Pro, and it's where it's at today, and it's fifth now going in sixth year on that. But it's truly a hybrid machine, and those 4 gas tanks. So you got software tokens, you have now the subscription time of either annual or monthly, and the fifth one, which we didn't rehearse this, but you played right into my hand on this. The fourth gas tank is the 5-day, what we call 5-day unlimited pass, and that's one that's completely forgotten. In fact, I just ran a report on it here within the last 30 days, and we have just a fraction of machines that have that on that option on their machine. And if we turn the clock back, as I like to do, and you know this, PJ, because we've known each other for a great amount of time, our MVP had 5 emergency tokens. Every MVP still today that's in the field, still operating, has 5 emergency tokens sitting in a cloud. And if the operator got busy, life got hectic, just forgot to place that order, and you get those customers come rushing at you on a Friday afternoon late, that's probably going to pose a problem. There's going to be a downtime now, a gap, and that's just a death sentence for anyone operating, doing programming keys. So we say, hey, you know what? This fourth gas tank, overlooked, really inexpensive, a couple $100, it's a lifesaver. And it should be, to me, it's kind of the Henry Ford saying is, you wanted a Model A in every driveway. Every Smart Pro should have a 5-day pack on it. I mean, the fact that we don't have more machines, and I just think it's an awareness thing. It's been out there, but not really talked about, not really pushed, not really educated on the fact that if you had this, I don't even care if you're on a UTP rigorously, PJ, we've had this. Even in a subscription situation, activation can become a problem. The order process becomes a problem. We don't like to admit it, but it's reality. And whether that's the fault of the distributor, the fault of us, we're all human, have a plan B. And that plan B is that 5-day pack. And just to finish here, the way that the dynamics of that works is that that's 5 individual days of unlimited subscription that sit with no shelf life until you call for it on the machine. Then when you plug in to start your first job, and maybe only job, a time clock starts working on the machine for 24 hours. And that day is done. You have 4 days left. And those 4 days can sit idle for months on end, like a token has no shelf life until you call for it again. And shops that are training new staff and want to send someone maybe to a dealership or a used car lot, this is an excellent option to use for that day of training or 2 days of training. Really inexpensive.
It's not like you start it and now you have 5 days of continuous use you have to use. It's literally 5 24-hour UTP passes that you can use at different times.
Yes, at different times. And that's the nice thing about that is that is a safety net, or as I call a safety valve, because and I experience it, not every day, but I experience it enough in a month's time. Orders don't get processed. We drop the ball. Something happens. They have an activation issue. And now that option, that standard option that they've been going after, whether it was buying a piece of software, having tokens released, having time activated, doesn't happen. What do you do? The fact is that I don't think a lot of customers are aware of it. Some may think of it as an overkill, but I can guarantee you when that time comes, it's like insurance. You don't like to pay that premium, and you really think, you never use it, but that one time comes when you need it. you'll be glad that you have it.
That's really good. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a great way to end it with that great nugget there.
Yep.
Very good, Tony. Well, hey, it was great talking with you for a little bit. Thank you for sharing some of the knowledge and information. You know, a person like you on the road for as many years as you have been doing these classes, like you have such a great insight to really what's going on and what people's questions are and their, you know, what makes them confused. So I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on and hang out with me here a little bit. Thank you once again. And for all of you who are watching and or listening, definitely in the comments, especially on YouTube, put your questions, your thoughts. Of course, Tony and I would love to review those and see what you have to say.
Yeah.
Tony,
thank you.
Thanks once again,
Thank you,
and we'll talk to you soon. Well, I guess this is the end of the video, and it's time for you and I to part ways until next time. But hey, before you go, I really do want to make sure that you know that when you comment on our videos and you include the hashtag Lockboss, you automatically get hooked up to win cool stuff that we give away live here on YouTube every Tuesday. So we'd love to have you join us. We'd love to have you comment, and I look forward to reading them soon.